In today's video, we are checking out a mod that will completely take over your Minecraft world. A deadly infection that will stop at nothing, giving life to creatures of pure nightmare, with its only goal to take over everything and anything that crosses its path. So let's just jump straight into it. Now don't get me wrong, this mod has been around for quite some time, but by the end of the video, you'll see why I wanted to make a video on this, because it is absolutely ridiculous. And I thought the best way of showcasing this is by just completely destroying this village and pretty much the entire world that surrounds it. So first things first, we're going to need to start the infection, and for that, we're going to be using one of these, a mound right here. And these do actually generate by themselves, but for the sake of the video, we're just going to be putting these all over the village just so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. And as you can see already, it does not take long for this to kick in at all. You can see the grass right here is slowly starting to turn into the mycelium right here. I've got a giant mushroom already ready there. Even the village house is starting to get infected right here and just decay. Look at that, it just dropped. And you'll see that by the end of this video, this entire village will be basically unrecognizable. And as this infection actually grows, it will become stronger and stronger, and so will the actual mobs themselves. So after being exposed to the mycelium right here, we're going to end up with one of these, an infected villager. And as you can see right there, he is just going to go absolutely rogue and basically convert all of these guys that live here into what he is right there. So you can see right here, this villager does actually have like a poison effect. He's still chasing them around, but as you can see, eventually they all wind up just like this guy. And those infected villagers that you saw just then are basically the starting point to this infection, as it gets so much worse. So on the same level, we also have the infected wandering trader, which looks just as disturbing right there. We also have the adventurer, which is basically like the players right here. As you can see, they're completely infected. He's actually just going to try and take out that guy right there. And we also have the infected scientist. And if you thought these models were cool, just wait until we get past the evolved mobs, and then it really takes a turn for the worst. I mean, they've even got infected husks as well. Look at that. Like, half his head is just ripped off. But I gotta say, out of the basic ones right here, the scientist, that is just so creepy. I love it. So moving up the infected ladder, we also have the experiments, like the leaper right here. These guys... Oh, there he goes. That's where he gets his name from. We have the knight right here as well, just getting more and more covered in this fungus right here. We have the griefer, which again is just even more horrifying. And I'm pretty sure these guys actually explode as well, similar to creepers, which, as you guessed it, just spreads more and more of this stuff. And we also have a slasher as well, which has this giant like spike of an arm right there. Definitely keep your distance from these guys. And these are just a couple that I'm picking out at random. As you can see, there's pretty much infected for everything. But after the evolved sort of tier right here, we do have the unknowns, where you can expect to find things like this. A scamper, who is basically already just fully covered in the fungus right there. A spectre, which is like a wandering trader gone absolutely nuts. I'm pretty sure the wandering trader over there does have the ability to evolve into this if the infection does get enough sort of points, I guess you could say. So if you decide to ignore the infection for the most part, it's probably not going to be too good. And real quick, I do want to let you guys know that starting in February, I'll be starting to live stream. So if you're enjoying this video or the weekly videos that I put out, be sure to drop me a follow over on Twitch so you know when I'm live. And lastly, in the category of the unknowns right here, we have the infested construct. Let's have a look at this. Oh my god, it just gets so much worse. Every level that you go up, it just gets so much creepier. I couldn't even tell you what this is. It's just like a giant like merge of creatures and people. But we are not done yet, as after those guys, we have the hyper evolved. As if that right there isn't enough, we also have these guys. Let's have a look at them. We have the Inquisitor right there. Oh my god, it's just unrecognizable. We have this guy right here as well with a giant tongue. And then we have an ogre as well. Look at, oh my god. This ogre right here is definitely going on the thumbnail. We're not even at the strongest mobs yet. Like, they just keep getting worse. And then finally right here, we have what are known as calamities, which basically act as like the bosses for this mod. So starting off right here, we have the sieger. Okay, let's have a look at this guy. Yep. The best way that I could describe it is that the higher up that you go in this infection, the more everything sort of just merges together to create these absolute nightmare creatures. We have the gaze and breacher right here, which is actually like an aquatic animal. So if you thought building a base underwater was the smartest play, you're completely wrong. It also reminds me out of the SpongeBob movie, the old lady who was selling the ice cream, who was actually like a parasite. That's that thing right there. That is the old lady. And just for reference right here, I'll plonk a villager so you can see how quick this thing can actually move. Look at the speed of this thing. Yeah, I would hate to run into that. So that pretty much crosses out a water base or a land base for the most part. But what about if you decide to build in the sky? Which is where our third calamity comes into effect, the Hindenburg right here. This is just a giant infected blimp. Look at those tentacles. Oh my god. Oh, I hate that. Literally an infected blimp that will just infect the whole landscape with every shot. Look at that. So just from the showcase of it chasing the villager, the damage that it's done is already pretty damn significant. I hate it, but it just looks so cool at the same time. And the final boss right here, we have the howitzer. Now, if you thought any of those three were bad, this one right here is the one you have to worry about the most, because this thing is an absolute monster right here. It's got these really gross, like, pulsating patches on him as well. And if you actually look closely to the detail here, you'll see like the silhouettes of like infected people, creatures, all that creepy stuff. Like, look at the back. There's like a guy right there. His arms are full of it. There's like a guy holding on there. Like, it's actually gross. Like, it actually makes me feel sick thinking about this. So coming back to the village after showing you that nightmare fuel of a creature, you can see that the village has just completely destroyed itself right here. Like, this one in particular. We've got all these broken, decaying logs. We've got the cobblestone that's just completely infested with mycelium. The tree that is here is no longer here. You've got these roots sticking up as well. Like I said before, it does not take long for this thing to just completely wipe out entire villages. And like I said at the beginning, this won't stop spreading, this infection. It will literally keep going until the entire world is covered in this stuff. And if the mycelium infection here wasn't fast enough, if you're out exploring and you accidentally walk on one of these mushrooms right here, guess what? Yep. It spreads it even further, and you actually get the infection right there as well, as you can see as an effect. So every time you actually walk on one of these little pods, it's just going to spread the infection even quicker and further each time. So if you're a madman, you can go around and just jump on all of them, but I definitely don't recommend that. So whilst this village is being completely overrun by the mycelium, let me show you some of the structures in this mod that may help you out. So right here we have one of the many structures that will spawn randomly throughout your world. This one right here is the hospital, as you can see with the red sign right there. And you wouldn't be wrong in thinking that this might have been where it started. And you can see that these hallways are absolutely filled with the infected, and there's some right there. Look at those like biohazard guys. We've got a containment room right here that's just been completely busted open by the infection. There's a little hazmat in the corner. And yeah, you definitely don't want to come to this place if you're underprepared, because there is a lot of these guys ready to mess your day up. So at this point, you might be asking yourself, well, how do you even fight back? Or even, is there a way to beat this thing? And I thought originally the best way to get rid of this stuff is basically just to burn it, or burn anything that it touches. But it actually turns out that fire doesn't really do anything to this stuff. What you're going to need is ice. And what you're going to want to make is a CDU right here, a cryogenic dispensing unit, which has its own custom block, which looks amazing. I love all the blocks and everything, how they look in this mod. It's so well detailed. And to actually get this thing operational, you're going to need some blue ice and also some iron nuggets right here as well to make some ice canisters. So once you've got those two items and you've got the CDU placed down, all you need to do is just basically feed the canisters into this thing right here. And as you can see, it starts to spit out the snow or the ice right there. And then all the infection around it in a decent area will actually decide,
you know what? We don't like the cold. Let's just give up.
And from what I know, this is basically the only way to kind of fight back. I mean, it's not exactly winning, but it's at least delaying the inevitable, so it's worth a shot. And this CDU right here has a decent range. As you can see, it's cleared pretty much the entire roof off right here. And if we actually go into one of the lower floors, you'll see that the hallways are actually completely infection-free, as well as having some snow in places. And the radius for this is actually quite good. This is 2 floors down now. The infection slowly starts to creep back in around this level right here. So like I said, it's not exactly winning against the infection, but it's probably the best you can do. And I mentioned this mod when I was doing my Last of Us sort of transformation video. I should have checked it out properly then, because that would have been such a perfect fit for this. We've even got a corpse with a mushroom growing out of it. That is so gross. So to put it plainly, the infection works for the infection, which means that everything the infection does is to support the infection itself, which is insane. And coming back to the village once again, yeah, this village is pretty much done for at this point. There's still a couple of standing structures, but for the most part, they're going to look like this right here. In the space of recording this video, the village is pretty much nearly gone. So what was once a happy place is now, well, not so happy. And without spoiling this mod too much for you guys, there's one more thing I want to show you, and that is the Proto Hive Mind right here. Oh my god, I forgot this guy was over here. This Proto Hive Mind right here is basically like the brain of the entire infection. So if I actually go ahead and place that there, you'll see this thing crawls right out of the ground. It's got like a giant rib cage that surrounds it. And what this creature will actually do is start to build itself his own little sort of defense right here. As you can see, the blocks are sort of like popping up everywhere, and it's actually going to build itself a cage to remain safe, which is so gross. And the Hive Mind isn't just a name for this creature, because every mob in this game that's actually infected basically works exactly as a Hive Mind. So infected mobs will actually group up in hordes, or if an infected is killed by something, all the other ones will basically swarm to its location. If you're going to take down some infected, make sure you have an exit plan, because these guys turn up pretty damn quick. So I'm just going to chill for the next 5 minutes here and see how much building this thing actually does. As you can see already, it's already starting to build the wall right here. So I'll check back with you in 5 minutes. And one thing that sets this infection mod apart is the fact that you actually get madness from it. Which means those sound effects right there that you heard is basically all in your head. So you're going to have to be dealing with like hallucinations of the infected, sound effects, along with dealing with these things on the daily as well. It's been about 4 or 5 minutes now, and as you can see, this thing is just getting absolutely massive right here. So if I actually fly up here, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. There you go. It's like a giant dome that's going to be forming right here. So if you ever see one of these in your world, good luck. So that's going to cut it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It took me a little bit of time to make a video on this, and I'm super glad that I have now because it is just ridiculous. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.